Hey guys, welcome to part two of episode one of the Holistic Wellness Podcast. I'm your host, Maitri Balamurgan. I am the founder and CEO of Evenfall Cosmetics. Evenfall isn't just another skincare brand, but is a holistic wellness brand carefully catered to provide you wellness in all the four dimensions of your life: physical, mental, social, and spiritual. Now, if you haven't watched the part one of this episode, I would highly suggest you go watch it. It's a pretty quick 30-minute watch. Not only will it give you context about this episode, but it will also allow you to access some amazing insights that our guest speaker Tavishii provided us with in the previous episode. Now, Tavishii, thank you for joining us again today. How are you doing today?
I'm doing fantastic. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing fantastic as well. So, I would love to just flow into our first question now for the day, which is in the last podcast, we had spoken a little bit about sound healing. And you mentioned
Correct.
that, yes, and you mentioned that we use the Tibetan bowls or the gong to, sort of get into that state of calm. So, how can we attain this state of stillness, which is achieved through sound healing? Do we need the gong? Do we need the specialized equipment, or can we do it with whatever we already have at home?
So, yeah, we'll start by maybe giving a little bit more context into sound healing before
Sure.
we get into the
Of
specifics
course.
of that. So essentially, see, sound healing is using sound to heal your mind and body. And by healing, see, the body and the mind have an innate capacity to heal. There is a lot of self healing that occurs within us. In fact, every night when we sleep, there's repair, there's regeneration. So the body and the mind have the potency to heal itself themselves, but we need to give it the time and the space and the relaxation to be able to do that. So, sound healing is essentially using sound to create a space of relaxation and harmony so the body and the mind can heal itself.
Oh,
That is the main way I would describe sound healing. Now, of course, the vibrations of the sounds as well have a healing effect on your body, because I don't know, I think I'm not sure if we spoke about it in the last episode, but there's the water experiment, right? That I forget what was the Japanese doctor's name. Ioto, I think, Dr. Ioto, but he has done this experiment where, he exposed water to different types of sounds, some sounds which were more discordant and some sounds which were more harmonious. And then when he froze the water and observed the crystalline structure of the water, he could physically see there's a change, like he could physically see a difference. He could see that the water that had been exposed to more of the harmonious, nice, soothing sort of sounds had a beautiful crystalline structure, whereas the others, which were other glasses which were exposed to more of the harsher sounds, more discordant, unharmonious sounds, they were all scattered. The molecular structure was all scattered, and it wasn't as put together and beautiful and crystalline.
wow.
So, sound itself has an impact on you, and you can experience that too, right? If you especially those who may be sensitive to, like, say, sound, light, heat, people with migraine, they experience it immediately. But for the others who are not as sensitive too, like, imagine sitting in a room where you're listening to a beautiful cello or a beautiful piano, or something of that sort, versus like really hard rock metal music that's just
Yes.
pounding, right? There is an
Yes.
impact, there is a difference. The way you feel when you come out of a sitar concert versus the way you feel when you come out of a rock concert, there is a difference. I'm not saying one
Yes.
is better than the other, but for your nervous system, yes, one may be better than the other, right? So,
Yes.
sound healing is essentially using sound to create a soothing impact on your nervous system so that healing, self healing, um, can occur. So
Okay.
that is what sound healing is. Now that I've said, now that we've spoken about sound healing, sound can literally be anything, right? It could be from an instrument, like you mentioned the Tibetan instruments or the Buddhist bowls, or there's the gongs, Or it could also be someone's voice. It could be the sound of birds. It could be the sound of water, sound of nature. So in fact, when I do my sound healings, I have all of these sounds. I have a little rattle. I have a rainmaker that makes a sound of water. And then
Mhm.
of course there are these sacred singing bowls that are attuned to these frequencies that again have a very calming effect on your nervous system, and they work on the different chakras as well. So yeah, that is essentially what sound healing is, using sound to heal. And in terms of, can you do it, right? Can you do it, or do you need some specialized equipment? The answer is yes to everything. You do need specialized equipment because you need to make sure that the sounds are soothing to you. But at the same time, you could also, YouTube, right? There's so many videos these days available on YouTube: binaural beats, relaxation meditation, singing bowl meditations, right? So you could access a lot of these online,
Okay.
or you could go attend in person. In person, there's always that group energy and the feeling
Yeah.
of the light, and you can feel physically the vibrations as well.
Yes.
So it's just like, you watch a music video online versus going to a live concert. There's a
Honestly.
difference, right? But both can be enjoyed, and both are effective in their own ways. So, and it doesn't just have to be Tibetan bowls or gongs. It could, like I said, be the music of a piano or a cello or violin, whatever is soothing to you. And sometimes when we're very disconnected from our nervous system and ourselves, we may not even know what is soothing to us. So when you don't know that, then yes, go to like a singing bowl, meditation, or go to like a gong bath. Like, do something that we definitely know is good for you. It's been proven over time through science. But usually people can tell, right? They can tell that, okay, yes, no, this feels relaxing to me.
Yes. Okay. Wow. That was a very, very insightful answer. Thank you for that. So now, if there's a beginner listening to this and they want to incorporate sound healing into their life, what would you suggest? Would you suggest that they go to like a live concert or like a live session first, or maybe experiment a little bit in YouTube to find their niche and then select a concert based on that niche? What should we do first?
I think both approaches are very valid and fine. Of course, it is always special to attend something in person.
Yeah.
So, they can always look up if there's any sound healing going on around them. I, of course, do my sessions here in North Bangalore,
Mm-hmm.
and hoping to also, do many more across the city, and possibly work with you and figure
Yeah.
that out, right?
We'll definitely do
So it's always nice to sort of do it in person and have that experience. And there's also the group energy then, at the end, you share your experiences. Sometimes the experience is positive. Sometimes it could also feel a little bit, I've had people come in, most of the times people come in and feel very relaxed. But
that.
sometimes if there's a lot to process, a lot to release,
Mm-hmm.
people will also come in and feel, they'll feel like a lot went on, that they may not have been able to relax, but
Yeah.
they feel something has changed, something has happened. So everyone has a different kind of experience. And I think based on where you are, what you're going through, what is needed by you at that time, you experience it differently. So I think in person is a great idea. But for whatever reason, say you're stressed right now, or you're
Yeah.
stressed today, you can't make it, or you don't have the time, then I think absolutely, by all means, look up a YouTube meditation, look up something online. And I have done online sound healings too, and it has been very effective. In fact, I did one recently for a corporate for like some 500 people, and they all loved it. So maybe physically the vibrations are not felt as much, but mentally and emotionally it does have a calming effect even when done online. So I think both are great avenues to explore based on what your resources are, what your availability is, what kind of time and effort you can put aside for it. But it's important because it's a beautiful relaxation technique.
Wow, that was a very, very lovely answer. Thank you so much for that. Now I want to flow into our next question, which is how do you personally deal with disorganized and cluttered thoughts that can, take over your mind?
Yeah, I would. I would like to say I'm a pretty intense person. And so, when there's intensity, you get to experience the highs and lows of everything, right? So when your mind is clear, you're very sharp. But when there's too much going on, that the intensity of, the clutteredness may feel very overwhelming. So, I mean, and naturally, because of that intensity, I gravitated towards spirituality, gravitated towards practices like yoga and healing and sound healing that help me find that center and help me find that balance. So one is, of course, yoga. That really helps me sort of the focus and the release and the concentration and just taking time apart and finding the center is what happens for me when I do yoga, effortlessly. So yoga is something that really helps me. Sound healing too, of course, and for me, self healing is, because you place a bowl on yourself and you play it, there's still a little bit of effort you're doing, right?
Yeah,
So
yeah,
it's nicer to experience it when someone else does it for you.
yeah.
So, but sound healing is also definitely very, very relaxing for me. Another sort of a practical thing that I do that I've noticed really helps me is organizing things. So if I'm feeling really chaotic or confused, I'll just go like organize my closet or like organize a
Okay.
drawer or organize
Yeah.
a kitchen shelf or something. And that also, gives a sense of control and gives a sense of being able to sort of physically do something
Yeah.
that makes you
Yeah.
feel good. So a
Yeah.
lot of times, mentally you can't conquer something. If you do it physically, it will have a ripple effect on the mental and emotional realms as well.
Yeah.
And vice versa. When you work on yourself emotionally and mentally, even physically you start making better choices. So I think we're
Yes.
so interconnected,
Yes.
mind, body, emotion, breath,
Yes.
the social aspect, the spiritual aspect. So I feel like when I can't sort of work directly on the mind, I will do something physical that will allow me to release and help me calm the mind.
Wow.
And similarly, even yoga, right? Similarly, when the breath, right? If
Yeah.
your body, like this, if you're anxious, if you're shaking, if you're, use your breath. Use
Yeah.
your breath by taking deep breaths in, deep breaths out. So I think you can use the mind to calm the body, or you can use the body to calm the mind too, and the breath.
Wow.
So these are some of the things that I do. I like organizing. I like doing yoga. I like to listen to a meditation, or I'd like to do a meditation by myself, or just take time apart, time away from whatever the situation is. Just say, okay, I'm not going to think about this, or I'm not going to engage in this. I will come back to it after 30 minutes or 1 hour. So taking time away also is something that has been very, very helpful for me, because the intensity at the moment may feel so much, but somehow after 30 minutes pass, everything seems a lot better.
Yeah.
So these are the tools that I use.
Wow. That was very lovely. So now if there's somebody who's at work or at college and they're suddenly dealing with really intense thoughts that causes them to lose focus and they're kind of spiraling a bit once they're out in public. So what do you think they should immediately do just to immediately calm down their body, like their nervous system? Should they go sit down for a moment of reflection or breathe? What is it that is like a quick fix for the moment?
Yeah, yeah. So I think that one is, yes, if you can get away from other people, say maybe you need to use the bathroom, or
Yeah.
just get a second for yourself. So if you can find a space that can be just yours, maybe even in the bathroom, like I said, because
Yeah.
that's one space where you can be sort of by yourself, and then breathing.
Okay.
The breath is the fastest tool, I believe, to bring the mind back to equilibrium. So if there's like a few pranayamas, you can have handy. So one pranayama, for example, is your kapal bhati. Kapal bhati is, where you forcefully exhale out from the nostrils and pull your tummy in. So it's a very purifying. If there's a lot of tension, a lot of
Yeah.
built up in your
Yeah.
body, in your mind. So simply if you just do immediately, there's like a
Yeah.
release, right? So
Yeah.
Kapal Bhati is one pranayama, or called the breath of fire, which helps you release immediately a lot of pent up energy. Another pranayama is Brahmari, right? Brahmari is the bee's breath, where you don't have to use the full hands. You could also just close the flap of your ears with your index finger, or you could use the full hands and do it. But essentially, it's making this sound for as long as you can. So you
Yeah.
breathe in through the nose, And when you exhale, you go for the sound for as long as you can, like or you can also move. So that again has a very calming effect on the nervous system. Another breath would be your alom vilom, your alternate nostril breathing, right? So you breathe in from one nostril, close it, breathe out from the other, then again breathe in from the same nostrils and switch. So I think breath work is, these are three that if people can just learn and sort of have it in their back pocket, it would be so, so helpful for situations where, high stress, anxiety, even, where you need to lift your mood up. Sometimes you're with people and you're feeling depressed. Then there's a breath work called bhastrika, bhastrika. Immediately, instantly raises your energy, instantly raises your prana.
Yeah.
So I feel like breath work is very helpful, and it's also discreet enough, right? Like you can do it somewhere, you can find a corner and just like do it. That is number one, I would say. And I think eventually from there, it has to come down to like self-soothing talk. We all need to like learn to how to talk to ourselves, right? That it's okay, validating yourself. You're feeling this emotion because of so and so. It's okay. It's no big deal. You can sort of deal with it later. For now, let's just compartmentalize it. So I think having sort of a process of self-talk is also very important, and it may be different for every person, but they need to figure that out, whether that's in therapy or whether that is just by sitting with yourself and reflecting back on an episode, that how could I have talked myself out of it. So once the breath brings your nerves down a little bit, then the self-talk comes in. And if self-talk is not an option right now, then I think it's really good to have someone you can call or talk to who can do the talking for you, right? But it has to be someone who's tried and tested, because when you're in a vulnerable mood and then if they end up saying the wrong thing, or so that's why self-talk is the best, right? If you can come to that point. And I think part of self-talk is also not being harsh with yourself. A lot of times when we're going through anxiety, it becomes like, oh my God, I'm such an idiot. Oh my God, I'm going to look like a fool. Oh my God, that talk starts.
Yeah.
So that's why self-talk is so important, because you're anyway talking to yourself. But can you not be mean? Can you be your friend as opposed to, your enemy taking you down? So I think that is something we all definitely do need to master at some point, but starting with breath can be very helpful.
Wow, okay. So first the breath and then positive reaffirmations in the form of self-talk, preferably ourselves because we know what we have to tell ourselves, or a very trusted person who does not misuse us being vulnerable, is what I'm gathering here,
Yeah.
right?
Yes,
Oh,
tried and tested. Like they have been able to help you in the past, and but
okay.
eventually work in therapy or work with, work at yourself, work on yourself to come to a place where you can do it for yourself,
Yeah,
because that is the most valuable thing, right? Suppose you can't get in touch with that person, or that person is having a bad day, or you've had a fight with that person,
yeah,
right?
true.
So I think slowly you need to come to a place where you need to tell yourself that, okay, I'm feeling this because of so and so reason. It is okay for me to feel this. For now, let me put it aside. I can deal with it later. Or if you're not able to put it aside, talk yourself through it, that it's okay to feel this. And while this may exist, so does this. Because sometimes what happens is when we become anxious, only one possibility jumps out. You may just think, okay, everyone thinks I look like an idiot. Well, okay,
Yeah,
maybe two people think I look like an idiot, but maybe there's another two who don't. And
yeah,
that's okay. So that the polarizing effect happens
yeah,
when you usually get stressed or anxious. So kind of learning in therapy language, it's called mentalization. It's called, when we're only focusing, we have a tunnel vision on one thing, but
yeah.
then you try and create for other possibilities. No, this could also be the truth. This could also be the truth. This could also be the truth. And that immediately sort of brings you down, because you realize, okay, there's not just one way of looking at things. So that requires a little bit more work, and therapy is very helpful in things like this. But a short answer, it's not short by any means, I know, but a short answer to
Okay.
condense it is breath and then self-talk. Yes.
Breath and then self-talk. And I think what you found, I mean, what you told about thoughts is very true in the sense that it has been found that honestly 90% of our thoughts only exist in our head. So it's because of us doubling down and focusing on those thoughts that are we feel so stressed about it. But honestly, nobody else is really looking at you the way you are looking at yourself. So being
Yeah.
able to sit down, breathe, and talk to yourself really gives you that leeway and that space to, sort of flow into the rest of your day with a calm, peaceful mind. So that is very, very insightful. Thank you for that. Now I
And
would, yeah, please,
sometimes you
please.
just need to put it aside. You need to
Yeah,
be like, okay, this is too much for me right now, but I will deal with it. I will deal with it later.
yeah,
I know it's not easy, but that is
yes,
an ability. Like if you, I think that's an ability we need to create within ourselves because we
yeah,
will not always be able to deal with everything right there. And it's something that I had to really learn through therapy, which is distress tolerance, right? It is, and in yoga, it's called titiksha.
yeah,
Titiksha basically means forbearance. How do you tolerate distress? Because
yeah,
you are not always going to be able to solve a thing right away. You
yeah,
have to learn to tolerate distress and give it time.
yeah. I think that also comes with maturity and being at a certain stage in your life where you really know for a fact that you are going to indeed be able to deal with it at a later point in time. Like your brain needs to have a proof that, yeah, I've done it in the past, so I trust and believe that I can do it again in the future, and right now I don't have to deal with it. Otherwise, our brain is kind of doubling down on it right now and forcing us to take action because it's scared of inaction. So, and also being able to tolerate distress is something we really need to learn. So, yes, that is
Yeah,
very true. Is there
because
something you want to add?
it's a little bit, yeah, it's a little bit of the chicken or the egg situation, right? You have to
Yeah,
give it a try for
yeah,
it to actually happen, and then you're like, oh wow, like I could
yeah,
do it. So,
yeah.
hand in hand.
Hand in hand. Yes, very, very apt. Now, I would like to flow into our fourth question, which is so, is there any significant enough transformation that you've seen in any of your clients? It could be through sound healing or yoga, any life changing transformation that it is possible for you personally. Firstly, it's not too personal, or it's possible for you to highlight here, so it can be a sort of motivation for me and everybody else listening that it's never too late to make a change in our lives.
Yeah. There's so many. There are so many experiences, so many examples, and I'll start with sound healing. I had a client who was dealing with anxiety, with with severe anxiety, like physically,
Oh God.
and dizziness, things like that. Physical severe symptoms, and on medication, taking allopathic help and everything, but still sort of not, not feeling good. And then we did about 10 private sound healing sessions together. And it's hard to say sometimes whether it's the sound healing, whether it's the medication, whether it's the stars, whether it's the time, whether it's the phase. So it's really hard to pinpoint what it is, because I think it's always a combination of things, because as you're doing sound healing, and you're healing, right, the way you start approaching things will also be different, the way you'll start reacting to things will also be different. So that compounding effect, which may have been there earlier with you reacting, also reduces, right? So everything plays in. Then the allopathic medicines can also work better because you are giving a chance for the relaxation to occur. So everything works hand in hand. But essentially, at the end of the 10 sessions, which spanned over about, I want to say, two to 3 months, she started feeling a lot better.
Oh, wow.
And even like she in her initial sessions, she would feel things going out of her body. She would
She
literally
actually
feel.
physically felt it.
Physically, yeah, physically
Wow.
felt things, physically like had images, past impressions of like her life, of her parents, of what she went through, of a feeling of security, feeling of insecurity, like so many things get processed, that are just stuck. I mean, that's essentially what anxiety, I feel, to a large extent is. It's a lot of things
Wow.
just compounded together and stuck without the ability to release in a controlled way. So it comes out like in spurts, or it
Yeah.
doesn't come out, it stays inside, and
Yeah. Yeah.
it's a harrowing experience as a result.
Yeah.
So with sound healing and things like that, it comes out in a very controlled way, in a very it's a safe environment for releasing. So sometimes that'll come as mental impressions, sometimes that'll come as emotional feelings, sometimes that it'll come as physical, visceral feelings. But what was interesting was, and just recently, so now she comes for group sessions. She doesn't feel the need for individual sessions
Wow.
because, a lot of processing has already occurred. And she
Sure.
says that, now I feel there's not that much to release. Like she can feel the release. There's not that much to release. So and her anxiety is a lot better. She wasn't able to do yoga for like a year or two because anytime she did yoga, she started feeling more anxious and dizzy. But now she's joined my yoga classes. She comes to yoga. It's been about 3 months. So, and she's doing really well. So, it's hard to say that. I think everything comes together. And
Yeah.
sometimes I don't know when things are rough, I do believe like in phases and time periods, so when something is, you're going through a tough phase, maybe nothing seems to help. And that
Yeah.
can happen also. But it's always a phase that ends. And usually towards the end of a bad phase, you will start noticing that the right people start coming, the right opportunities start
Yeah.
coming. You'll
Yeah.
end up discovering things that,
Yeah.
so so I guess what I want to say is that there are always things to help, but
Yeah.
sometimes we also have to go through hard times. So if you're in a place where you feel like nothing is helping me, like just hold on, hold on. It'll be a phase and it will definitely pass. Yes, try and do things, try and go out, try and explore things. If it helps, great. If it doesn't help, don't give up hope. Just wait it out, do, distract yourself. Sometimes you need to distract yourself, sometimes you need to work on yourself. You need to find a balance of that. If you feel you're being avoidant, then work on yourself. If you feel you're being too hard on yourself, then distract, take a break, right? But don't give up, because everything changes with time. And even if you feel something isn't helping you right now, give it time and it may help you later, right? So I have seen these transformations happen through sound healing, through yoga, through Akashic record readings, right? So a lot of times clients will come and their mind will be so, they'll be looking at a situation in such a tunnel visioned way. But then when we do a reading, a lot of different insights come through. Maybe some insights about a past life, or some insight about what they may have done, even in their current life at some point that, could have caused a particular situation right now to occur. So I guess what I'm trying to say is that insights do come through when healing happens. And healing can happen in many different ways: sound, yoga, conversation,
Yes.
therapy,
Yes.
Akashic record readings, right? Um, so yeah, your question was,
My question was, I asked you to provide like an
have I
example. Yeah, so an
yes.
example of a big enough transformation that you've seen through your sound healing or yoga, which you have covered that up perfectly.
Okay. There is
Yes.
one more example that I'm going to state in brief, which is that, I had now the client is a very close friend, but initially
Oh,
it was a client. She was struggling with a relationship. She was struggling with a relationship. And while the relationship hasn't changed as much, her peace and her feeling towards it has transformed, like, has transformed substantially, where she would be feeling so upset and crying, maybe say 5 times in a week. Now maybe she feels distress once in a month or once in 2 months, and is able to self regulate and understand how to go about it, how to feel about it. And she's able to feel more love rather than anger, or hatred, or
yeah.
disappointment, expectation. And this is just through Akashic record readings, a few readings, and
Yeah.
counseling, holistic
Yeah.
counseling. So
Yeah.
everyone, like, different things work for different people. But I have seen drastic changes in emotional well-being, in mental well-being, and in physical well-being.
Wow. Okay. So you had mentioned about Akashic record readings. So could you please, like in brief, tell us what exactly they are and how do you go about? And you are a trained Akashic record reader, right? So what do you do in a session,
Correct.
basically?
So I call it holistic counseling, right? It is, and I have a diploma in counseling, so I use those skill sets as well. But in counseling, usually we can't be too directive. We can't, direct the client. We have to let the client sort of come up with their own solution, with their own analysis. We just encourage them. But in Akashic record reading, what I do is I combine that with a little bit of directive counseling. How do I do that? So Akashic records are essentially the journey of your soul. It's like the vibrational body of knowledge and compassion that has all the thoughts, words, deeds, actions, everything, all the possibilities even of your soul there. based on your past, based on your present tendencies. It can chart, there will be probabilities. There will be fields of probabilities you can tap into. Now, by the way, this is something all of us do from time to time. Like if we have a deja vu, or sometimes when, someone has a near death experience, they say their whole life flashes in front of them.
Oh,
So
yeah.
we all access the Akashic records and the wisdom from time to time. It is not something that is only, reserved for a special few. Intuition, right? We all have intuition,
Yes.
but it's just something that I've worked on over the last 15 years. And, I've done courses and I've done certification. So I would say that my sort of connection is a little bit, I'm able to connect a little bit more easily, perhaps, than the average person who hasn't practiced that much. So when I do an Akashic Record session, a lot of times my eyes will close, like they're closing already. So, whatever, based on the question that the person is asking me, the same question I will ask back to the Akashic Records. And sometimes I will get a question back in return. Sometimes I will be told, say this or ask this or probe here. And so it then ends up becoming a conversation, but it's a little bit directive, because sometimes, or many times, I will get guidance. Like the records or the masters will tell me, no, tell her not to worry about this. This will get resolved in the next 2 years. Or tell her or him that he needs to focus here. He needs to do this. He needs to pay attention to this or that. So it's a little bit more directive in that sense, but very conversational, very much in line with counseling, because it's a conversation that's occurring. And I might, like I said, I might have follow-up questions for them. Sometimes they'd share something with me and I'd be like, yes, but I'm getting that this is not as much of a problem. Perhaps there is something deeper. And then we go, we're able to explore it, and then they connect the dots and they realize, yeah, actually that is the issue, not this. So that's kind of how a reading goes, and it's primarily driven by the client and their questions.
Wow, okay. Thank you for like a complete, a lay woman like me. That was that you put all the pieces together in my head. So now, since we have the last 7 minutes left, I want to wrap up with our last question, which is looking back at your beautiful, beautiful journey so far. If there was one thing that you could tell the younger version of yourself, what would you tell her? Imagine you're speaking to her right now.
I would just say that, you know, I would say that hold on, like that that life is phases. Whatever it is that you're going through right now, this is not how it's going to be forever. It is not. You will have what you want in the right time. So wherever you are right now, maximize your growth. If it, even if it is loneliness that you're feeling, right, stay with it. Stay with it, because out of that loneliness something beautiful will come out. If not right now, maybe later. So I would say, don't get overwhelmed by anything that's going, or even if you are getting overwhelmed with whatever is going on, it is okay. It will not always stay this way. Things change, and whatever it is that you do truly want from your heart, you will get at some point in your life. Just be patient and know that things change. That's about it. That don't feel like you're going to be this, that you're always going to be miserable or you're always going to be happy. Like, things change, take it easy, and try and make the most of whatever you are going through.
Wow, that was really, really very, very beautifully put. And I think not just the younger version of you, but a lot of us hearing this also really needed to hear that. So thank you so much for that. And thank you for honoring us with your time today. It again truly, truly means a lot to me. And that's a wrap, guys. I hope everybody listening to this has a very blessed day ahead. So the same goes to you, Tavishi. I hope you have a blessed day ahead. And that's it. We'll catch you up in the next episode. And until then, bye bye.